First story is titled, Am I the a-hole for taking my shares in my homophobic grandmother's will? I, 20 female, am gay, and my grandmother was completely against my lifestyle choices and has threatened to remove me from her will if I didn't change, which I didn't. Now, my grandmother recently died due to heart failure. I am her closest granddaughter, and she has left majority of the property and money she had for me, with some parts going to distant cousins of mine. The money and property she left is enough for me to go through college without any student debt. Plus, she left me a house to live in. Now, everyone knew how she was homophobic and had threatened me multiple times that she would remove me from the will and give it all away. My family members think that this is an a-hole move to take all the things she has left me, knowing that she clearly didn't want me in the will. They illegally cannot do anything. I have consulted a lawyer. Now, I do think that it may be an a-hole move to take my share in the will, even though she was clear that she won't support my lifestyle. Am I the a-hole? Now, for the top comments. Not the a-hole. If your conscience will be clear, because that's what matters most here, take the money and use it for something good. Better that than the money going to people/groups that perpetuate homophobic beliefs. Not the a-hole. Your grandmother left you in the will for a reason. She chose for you to have a future, whether she likes your sexuality or not. She didn't remove you like everyone and herself kept saying, so it is your right to receive what she wanted for you. Homophobia is awful, and to deal with it from family is much worse. Receive what is rightfully yours and live your best life. I completely agree. Not the a-hole OP. If your grandmother really didn't want you in her will, she would have removed you from it like she kept saying. You even say she threatened many times, so I'm guessing it was over a long enough time period that she had plenty of time to actually change the will. I'm guessing those giving you a hard time simply want all the money and the house. If it's enough for a debt-free college, it's substantial. And nothing brings the worst out of people than money they feel falsely entitled to, and their greed. Use that money to give yourself a good start, get your education, and live well. Clearly, even though she didn't approve of your lifestyle, which really sucks and must have hurt, she loved you enough to still want to take care of you after her passing. Not the a-hole. Take it. Even if grandma kept saying horrible things, she chose to not remove you. These people are greedy if they are saying not to take it. Now, for the next story. Am I the a-hole for not letting my ex-wife come to the cabin where we used to bring our son before he passed? My son Liam passed away over 2 years ago when he was only 5. I can't even begin to describe the pain we went through. Even now, I'm still learning how to cope and live every day without him. He was such a beautiful soul, and I miss him every second of my life. 7 months after he passed, my ex-wife and I split after she slept with her coworker. She wanted us to work it out, and said she only cheated because she was struggling with her grief. That might have been true, but she still hurt me, so we divorced. My ex stayed in our old house. Even if it hurt leaving the home my son grew up in, I couldn't take being in that house after catching her in the act. Now about the cabin. We started coming every year around the holidays ever since Liam was a baby. Always the same one, because of the beautiful view of the lake that looked even better because of all the snow. It was Liam's favorite place in the world. My parents were friends with the elderly couple who owned the cabin. They rarely stayed there, so they always rented it out to us. Beginning of this year, they announced they were going to sell the place, and I decided to buy it myself. I work from home and liked the idea of living there, away from the city and away from everything that happened. I've adjusted well to living out here, and I feel so much closer to my son, living in a place that holds so many wonderful memories, and tainted by what happened. I never knew if my ex ever came up here on her own after my son passed. I know I didn't. She contacted me after she found out that I now live here. She asked if she could maybe come up, because this is the time of year we used to bring Liam, and she wants to visit the place our son loved so much. I had to tell her no. Not to be petty, but because I didn't know if I could handle her being here after what she did. I'm still dealing with everything in therapy, and have yet to forgive her. Obviously, she was upset by this, and begged me over the phone to let her visit. She cried, but I just couldn't. It hurt too much to think about her being here in my space when I still feel the pain she caused me. My father understands and is on my side, but my mother is saying I am being unreasonable because my ex also lost her son and wants to visit the place he loved most. especially right now that she has no one in her life, and it might do us some good to grieve together. I am feeling torn about this. On the one hand, yes, she is Liam's mom and feels the same pain I do, so I understand her wanting to feel close to him. But on the other, I don't know if I can handle her being in my space when I'm still trying to get over the hurt. Even if I'm not present when she comes by, I will still know she was there, and it'll feel like she's intruded my safe place. It's a tough situation, but I just don't see it happening. Am I the a-hole for it? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. You should be keeping your boundaries and doing what's good for you. If I got the timeline right, she could have visited the cabin before you bought it. She can also go and visit the lake and doesn't need to come to the cabin itself. My guess is she's using that as an excuse to maybe try to see you / try to get you back. Exactly. This is pure manipulation, born from her inability to properly deal with loss. Edit. Apparently, some readers missed a part of the story where his ex-wife stated that the affair was a direct result of the loss of their son. Causing more heartbreak and pain to those who are grieving is an inappropriate way to deal personally with loss. Demanding others to prioritize your pain over theirs is an inappropriate way to deal with loss. I thought these were obvious. Or, and just bear with me here, she wants to go there around holidays, which is when they took their son there. I mean, that's when she's going to want to be visiting there when her son was there. This is no a-holes here, and OB is definitely not the a-hole. But people here jump to manipulate and all these extremes way too fast. Like, chill out, people. We don't know all the facts. And yes, I did read that she still wanted to be with him, but that doesn't necessarily mean that she's trying to use her dead son's favorite place to manipulate OP. You were absolutely not the a-hole. Your ex gets to remember Liam in his everyday home, and now you do also. I'm so sorry for your loss and the extra grief that your wife caused with her own pain. It is not your job to make yourself uncomfortable or an additional pain to help her. Honor what feels right / best to you. I was just about to comment this. She has the everyday home that he gave up and has a new home that was the vacation homes. I understand the loss they both endured, but she doesn't get to impede on his home. It's very selfish of her knowing everything that happened. He is functioning on so little right now, and she should respect he needs space. She also probably has so many of their son's toys and photos. He's really starting over in the cabin from only memories. This isn't a vacation home anymore. It's just his home, not the a-hole. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for being upset about my lack of Christmas gifts? I, 17 male, wanted a PS5. I repeatedly told my parents I wanted a PS5. My mom said they were hard to come by and asked what else I'd like. I said nothing. If I couldn't get a PS5, then don't bother with anything else. That's the only thing I wanted. I may have been a little too insistent about it. Come Christmas morning, there's nothing for me but my favorite candy and a winter coat. I didn't understand and asked why I only got candy and a coat. My dad said I told them I didn't want anything else if they couldn't get me a PS5, so they didn't get me anything, except the coat because I need it and my mom added a candy. I got upset and asked why they wouldn't have at least tried to get me something I might want. My dad said because I was becoming a spoiled brat. I disagreed, but my dad said I obviously don't hear how I talk to people, that I'm coming across more and more bratty, and that I'm not owed anything. Lots of people wanted PS5s or Xboxes, and a lot of them didn't get it. He said he could understand being mildly disappointed and not getting what I wanted, but a bratty entitled attitude had to stop. I told my dad he was being an a-hole to me, and I was just disappointed they didn't get me anything good. He said he didn't care if I was disappointed. He was disappointed in me for how materialistic I was being. When my brother, 20 male, called to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, I told him what happened, and he actually laughed and said it sounded like Dad was teaching me a lesson, and that I must have been acting like a real a-hole for him to do that. I don't see how I'm the a-hole for being disappointed I didn't get anything for Christmas, but my dad and brother are in agreement that I am. My brother suggested a post here. Now let's read the top judgment of this post. You're the a-hole. Your words, don't bother with anything else. You want a PS5? You're old enough to work for it. Your dad is right. You come across incredibly entitled and bratty. Imagine getting exactly what you ask for, and then taking your anger out on everyone around you when you get it. Sounds like an apology is in order to your parents, OP. You're the a-hole. Yep, or even getting more than what you ask for. How is Opie just completely ignoring that he was gifted a new coat? That's a substantial gift. You're the a-hole. I'm angry that my family did exactly what I asked them to. You're the a-hole. Exactly. If Opie had told his parents, I understand they're hard to get right now, but I'd rather get nothing for Christmas and get the PS5 when it's available, he probably would have got it eventually. I literally just did this with my kids and they are the same age. One wants PS5, the other wants an Xbox X. I could have gotten him the Xbox S, and he chose to wait for the X. So it took them to get new boots and gloves, and that's what they got for Christmas until I can get their systems and we had no issues. Opie is definitely the a-hole. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for calling out my dad for not getting my mom a Christmas present in front of the entire family? I, female 16, live with my mom, dad, and sisters, 16, 13. Every year at Christmas, my mom's birthday and Mother's Day, my sisters and grandparents, on both sides, and I each get my mom a present. My dad doesn't. My mom always gets my dad nice presents though. This year alone, he got a TV for his birthday, a smoker, he loves barbecue, for Father's Day, and a PS5 for Christmas. She got a flower from our front yard for Mother's Day, and that's it. This year, my dad's parents, brother, sister, and their kids stayed with us for Christmas. When we were opening our presents, I looked over at my mom, and I could tell she was disappointed that my dad didn't get her anything again. So I asked my dad what he got her. He got very red and didn't say anything. His dad asked him if he ever gets my mom anything, and he answered no. His dad, brother, and sister called him a a-hole and asked me, my sisters, and my cousins to go to the game room. He stopped me later to tell me it was rude of me to call him out for not getting my mom anything, and he hasn't spoken to me since. Am I the a-hole for calling him out? Edit. I forgot to mention he gets himself very nice gifts for Christmas and his birthday. He bought himself an $800 computer and a new car this year. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. If he doesn't want the embarrassment of being called out on his a-hole behavior, he simply needs to stop being an a-hole. It really is that easy. That's what a lot of people don't realize. It truly isn't hard to be a good or even decent person. Not the a-hole. If he's buying himself expensive gifts all the time, he can most likely afford to get his wife something nice. And even if he doesn't have the cash, he could at least put in some sort of effort like a card with a small gift. He's putting in zero effort. Not the a-hole. He buys himself a car and can't get his wife as much as a key ring. Besides, it was his family who followed up with a criticism, not you. I would love to have heard Grandpa ripping the dad a new one, along with the aunt and uncle when the kids left the room. Very well played, OP. Your comment was innocuous on the surface, but had devastating repercussions given the audience. A+ work and not the a-hole. Update. After dinner, he left with his dad and came back with a diamond bracelet for my mom. Edit. They didn't buy the bracelet on Christmas. They bought it on the 26th. Sorry for not making that clear. I also don't know how my mom feels about the bracelet. I just saw my dad and Grandpa leave, then my dad came back and gave her the bracelet. And that's the end of this video, folks. As always, leave a comment and hit like and subscribe. And if you want more of this content, turn your notification on to get updated on the latest videos. And I'll catch you with the next one. Stay safe.